In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add some shadows and reflections to your images. So basically, right here we've got some objects I've put in, and then I've added reflection, a little bit of shadow down here, and I'm going to show you how to do some of that stuff. So first off, let me open up those two images, and first thing I need to do is to cut something out. So on this one, I'm just going to double click and click OK to cut that or to unlock that layer. And I'm going to grab this quick selection tool. Right now I'm using my bracket keys to kind of make that selection a little bit better. Make it a little bit smaller by using those bracket keys. And there's other ways to do this too. Once I get the selection, I'm going to just jump over here and just add my mask layer to cut it out. So once I've done that, I need to grab my move tool and drag him over here. And I can come back up here and consolidate that. And if I do a Command T, then I can resize that buffalo because it is a little bit big. And I'm holding down Shift to keep it in proportion. So I'll just kind of position that kind of where I'd like it to go. So first off, and then press return. First off, the problem I'm having is it just looks like it's floating. So if I try and add a shadow and maybe a reflection in the water, it should help it out. So first thing I got to do is duplicate this. And the hotkey to duplicate that is to hold down the Alt option while you're on the Move tool, and then you can click, hold, and drag on that. You could also just come over to your layers over here and duplicate it there too, and there's some other ways too. So, but once I get that duplicated, I'm going to go ahead and name this shadow, just so I can stay in there. And I'm going to do a Command T or Control T on a PC, and I'm going to go ahead and flip-flop that. So just go from one side to the other, and just kind of line them up just roughly where I think it should go. Shadows are distorted, so it doesn't have to be anything that great. And then double click on the shadow layer, not on the text, to get your color overlay, and click on the words so you can actually change the color to the color you want the shadow to be. So I've got kind of my shadow in there, and I'm gonna play with a little bit with the blur. So under filter, and Gaussian blur usually does a pretty good job, and just kind of bring that up until you start getting those fuzzy edges, and click OK. And then the last step is probably just come over here to opacity and just kind of fade that into about how much you want the shadow. And if you look around, if there's any shadows already in the image, then you can kind of play with that. Move that to about right where you think it should go. And sometimes putting it behind or in front, you can kind of decide that. The reflection's a little bit different. So I'm going to take my buffalo again and duplicate it. So Alt, or I could go up to Layer and duplicate layer here. And I'll just name this reflection. So I've got that reflection layer. I'm just going to do another Control T on a PC, Command T on a Mac. Just kind of take that and stretch that, and then for reflection, pretty much just lay it out how you like it. Press return, and then take down the opacity. And that will until it starts looking like it's somewhat of a reflection. You could play with some ripple effects in Blur, but that's how you do both of those methods.